Juan Soto is one of the most polarizing players in the MLB. But was Soto's down season last year the start of a downward trend, or just an outlier bad year? We'll discuss that and more on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Sports Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source for fantasy baseball knowledge, and I'm your host, Dominic Martino, here as always with my brother, my co-host, Matthew Ane.
Yo.
You can find us on all social media platforms and podcasting apps. Just search for Locked On Fantasy Baseball, and we'll be there. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, especially on YouTube, because we love to talk fantasy baseball with you. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. FanDuel is the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more and visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started today. And guys, real quick, if you're a fan or even if you're new here, Matt and I just are kind of asking, we're getting very close to the 1,000 subscriber mark here on YouTube. So if you aren't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. And if you could suggest us to a friend or two or three that's a fantasy baseball player or just a baseball fan in general, we would truly, truly appreciate it. We have some giveaways upcoming this year, a lot of fun stuff. And, as I said, we're your number one source for fantasy baseball. And make sure your friends know about us. On today's episode, though, Matt and I are talking about early spring training standouts. I know everybody is dying to get that spring training news going on, and Matt and I are here to provide you guys that. And Matt has somebody, that one of his boys that he wants to lead off with today. So, Matt, my brother, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of my favorite players. That's Mr. Juan Soto. If you haven't been following spring training, I think you need to start at least following Juan Soto.
Yes, sir.
It's been absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's only been 8 at-bats in 3 games, but he just seems like a completely different player from last year. And I'm going to read off what he did this year, what he's doing this year, and then I'm going to read off what he did last year and why this is just so surprising for us. So to start, within 8 at-bats, he had 2 runs, 2 singles, 3 doubles, 1 home run, 6 ribbies, and he has a stolen base, and he's batting .750 right now. And I'm blown away. Like, that's incredible early spring numbers for a guy coming off cold and, just getting ready to rock. And now let me read off last year, and then I'll tell you all about the whole story of why, like, what's been going on, why these numbers are so, like, meh. So last year he had 524 at-bats. He had 93 runs. He had 27 home runs, 62 ribbies, 6 stolen bases, and batted .242. Now, those numbers are not Juan Soto numbers. Those are numbers of a dude who's on a terrible, terrible organization who finally got traded and then had to adjust to a whole new city and moving his family and all this, to on top of being unhappy and getting out of his current situation. So I think that what we're seeing now is more indicative of him returning to his great status of where he could have been one of the top, 2, 3, 4 players in fantasy baseball, period. Because what Juan Soto could do in his like normal season when the guy's happy and he, wins a World Series, we'll say, like we didn't win a World Series in 21, but 21 was an absolute great season, right? So in 502 at-bats, he had 111 runs. He had 29 home runs, 95 ribbies. And this is just a fun fact. If, you guys play in a walks league, he had 145 walks. He had 9.
He's a master.
Yeah, he had 9 stolen bases, and he batted .313. The guy's a 287 career batting average guy, and I think that, he's probably more of a 300 as he gets a little bit more time because he's only been in the big since 18, and the guy's like 24 now.
Yeah.
happy birthday. He's still not even in his prime years yet. So like, the sky's the limit. And I think that Juan Soto is about to return to be the monster of all Sotos.
Yeah, man, you covered him very well. I'm just going to add my little 2 cents here. Soto also went 2 for 3 today, which is Thursday. So he's just adding to that monster spring training stat line. As we, in the intro, the question is Juan Soto's last season from last year, is it a start of a trend or is it just a outlier bad year? And I'm all aboard on the outlier bad year. In 2020, he had 351. As Matt said, I think Soto is way closer to a 300 career hitter than, the 287 that he has so far. I currently have Juan Soto 6th at outfield. Currently, Soto is coming off of the board as I have it here. Just give me 1 second. Soto is coming off the board as number 4 outfielder, pick 7. And I'm probably going to trend closer to that as we get closer to the season because Juan Soto is just arguably the best player in all of baseball. Let's move on to somebody that is not arguably one of the best players in all of baseball, but somebody that, is a very interesting young player, and that's Jarred Kelenic. So Jarred Kelnick has that big 2-home run game in spring training. So far, he has 4 hits out of 11 at-bats. He's hitting 364, 3 runs, 4 RBIs, 3 strikeouts as well. But, strikeouts aren't always gonna kill you. As we know, some of the best players in the league strike out a lot, and, it's okay. Now, Kelnick was a very, very high-end prospect. He might have even been the number 1 prospect at some point, if I remember correctly, and he just hasn't shown it at all. So far in his career, Kelnick has played 147 games over 2 seasons, 500 at-bats, 61 runs, 21 bombs, 60 RBIs, 11 steals, and a measly 168 batting average. Now, I have Kelnick buried. I'm probably going to wind up moving him up, but let's see where I do have him. Oh, God, I have to keep scrolling. I don't like that. I moved him up to 65, actually. Now, I think 65 might be around right, but let's see where he's coming off of the board right now. I bet you it's lower than 65 because I don't think anybody's really drafting Kelnick thinking that he's going to do much. Wow, I can't even find him here. He's probably buried somewhere here in the hundreds, but that ADP might move up, with a nice spring training. But if you want to grab him as one of your last picks, Jarred Kelnick, you could take the shot on him. He's on a very, very good team there in Seattle, with Julio, Teoscar, Suarez, and the rest of them boys. I think there's still upside in there. I don't think we're going to have the book written on him at only 23 years old.
Yeah, the only thing I'm going to say about Kelnick is, don't buy the hype either, right? Let's have a reasonable approach to him.
Yeah.
Like if he starts shooting up the board where he starts hitting in the over pick 200, that's what I'm going to say pump the brakes. And I'm not willing to pick him up unless he's like my one of my last 2 picks in the draft. Like, and when I say last 2 is because if I really want him and I want him before I know somebody else is going to try and pick him at their last, I'm just going to scoop him up that round before. But other than that, I'm going to, take a very conservative approach with Kelnick because, he could have a lights out spring and then comes time for guys to stop throwing their junk ball stuff or trying their new pitches. And also all the guys that come back from WBC and that are all really warmed up. And it all could fall right out from under him, and then it could be over. So I'm not over investing. I'm just going to have a reasonable approach. The reason why he's on this segment is just to say, hey, he's doing really good.
Yeah, just keep your eye on him.
Exactly.
But, Matt, real quick, I found him pick 72 right now according to ADP. No, I mean, sorry, 72nd outfielder according to ADP. Pick 308. You can get him as your last pick. That's definitely a solid spot to get him. Before we move on, though, we need to talk about Built Bar, guys. Come on. If you're like me, you have a full-time job, like to hit the gym sometimes, but you need a quick snack that isn't high on calories but still tastes great, then you got to try Built Bar, guys. Come on. I've been telling you for weeks now. If you haven't tried a Built Bar yet, it's on you. It's at this point. I'm not sure how Built Bar does it, but these bars taste delicious while maintaining amazing macros. What's even better is that they are healthy for you. Built Bars only have 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, but with a whopping 17 grams of protein. They also come in unbelievable flavors like cookies and cream, double chocolate, coconut puffs, and churro. And the best part is now you don't even have to wait around to get a box, because for years we've been talking about only being able to get your Built Bars at Built.com. But Built Bar has expanded, and now you can go to your local Walmart or Sam's Club and get you a bunch of boxes of Built Bar in all of their amazing flavors. Well, guys, we're going to move on here, and we're going to talk about the last guy here in our first segment. It's Brett Baty. Brett Baty is another one of these young kids that, came up last year, and he kind of, I know in his first game, he hit a home run as Matt and I were doing a podcast, and we got all excited. We were like, this is it, the coming of Brett Baty. But, he didn't really pan out. He played 11 games before he got hurt. Last year, it was 38 at-bats, 4 runs, 2 bombs, 5 RBIs, and he hit 184. But, I don't think that's really what Brett Baty is, because in the minors, he was absolutely dominant last year. In the minors, Brett Baty last year, 95 games, 362 at-bats, 76 runs, 19 bombs, 60 RBIs, and he hit 315. So he's a guy that has a lot of power, and I think if he winds up getting a spot there with the Mets, I don't know where they're going to put him right now, because that lineup is a little bit, kind of stacked out at the moment, but he could win a DH job. Maybe they try him in the outfield, but he's raking right now in spring training. Right now in spring training, Brett Baty has 1 bomb. He's hitting a 444, 3 RBIs. And he's looking pretty solid. If he makes the team, I think he's definitely worth a shot. He's somebody you could take once again with one of your last picks. I'm keeping an eye on Brett Baty here during spring training just to see if he winds up winning a job. If he does, I'm taking him on one of my last picks, and I'm gonna ride the wave, because I think Brett Baty has a lot of upside.
Yeah, I mean, all he has to do is beat out Eduardo Escobar, and he pretty much has the job at third. Now, I mean, defensively, I don't know how Beatty stands, and that could be what's holding him back from playing.
Decent defense.
Yeah, so we'll see how that all pans out as spring training goes on with Escobar and other moves, like Dom said, DH and whatnot. Beatty's great. I really love what he's doing. It's a waiting game. Last pick of the draft seems fun to me. But let's move on to another guy.
My dog.
Reid Detmers.
Detmers.
I always do this, guys. I'm gonna never call him by his real name. All right.
Well, that might just be his nickname now, is Detmers.
Detmers running.
Detmers running. I love it. That's great. Whenever we talk about him now, that's what I say. Detmers running. Running.
Detmers running. And
love that.
You know what? So far, he's been showing off. A little bit of show this year. I'm liking what he's doing. In 2 innings so far in spring, he got the W. He got 5 Ks. Gave up no runs. Like, that's really nice. That's what you're looking for in a young pitcher. That's going to be that you want to count on and be able to get at a good price. The meter is just going to be decent. I'm just trying to get his baseball reference real quick up. Meter here. There we go. How you doing? So the meter last year had a decent year. I mean, it wasn't like blow you away or anything of the sort, but he did have a 3.77 ERA. He had 129 innings. He had, where's my K's here? I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just roll up. There we go. He had 122 strikeouts, and he had a whip of a 1.2, which is a little high, and 7 wins. Now, I think honestly, for the first time breaking 100, because the season before in 2021, it looks like he got a cup of coffee. He got 20 innings, and had a 7.4 ERA. I feel like he corrected whatever needed to be corrected in the offseason, and then said, "Hey, I'm here to stay this time." So what he could do is build upon this and kind of take it to another level. I think he can probably get to a K per 9, and I think that he could probably get that down to a 3.6, 3.5 ERA, and just be that guy, because in the minors he had a 3.19 ERA, and he was a well over a K per 9. So he had 62 innings and then 108 strikeouts in 2021 in the minors. So I think we could return to see something similar. Now, Reid Detmers, I don't know where you're drafting him or how people are looking at him. I don't have him like rambunctiously high. The nickname might bump him up for me.
Where do you got him, Matt?
Let me see where the meter's running. Where do you got him while I'm looking?
I have him at number 65 overall, and I'm gonna wait for you to tell us where you have him ranked because I have a little rant coming on. I like we try and keep things short over here, but this is one guy I do have a little rant coming up on.
I haven't buried. I don't even want to tell you.
All right, so you're gonna fix that. I know you're gonna
Yeah.
fix that, especially after this rant. So let me do the rant here, and I'll try and keep it quick. So the thing with Reid Detmers is on May 10th he threw a no hitter last year. I don't know how many people actually know that he threw a no hitter against Tampa Bay, 9 innings, no hits, no runs, only 2 strikeouts. But sometimes when you're throwing a no hitter, you got to do what works. If you're not striking guys out and that's working for you, by all means. But as Matt told you, Detmers in the minors was a K per 9 guy, well over a K per 9 guy. Matt gave you his stats on the season. I'm going to give you this. He had 8 starts from July 8th to August 26th last year. Over that time, Detmers 45 innings, 55 Ks, a 1.97 ERA, and then the WHIP was like a 1.05. I mean, he showed the brilliance. I think he tired down towards the end of last year because then he had a couple of after that, he had a couple of 4 earned run starts. But once again, Reid Detmers was 22 years old last year. First, full year in the bigs. He's going to be 23 this year. I think he's somebody that you should be targeting toward the ends of your draft. Reid Detmers is currently coming off the board as the 63rd starting pitcher, picked 226 overall. I'm kind of right in sync there with ADP. I might have to move him up a little bit more because I definitely somebody I want on all of my teams this year. I think Detmers could just be in for a huge year. Don't forget, he's on the Angels. He gets to learn from Shohei Ohtani, who is one of the best pitchers in the league, and the sky is the limit for the kid. But let's move on here. Hopefully, I kept that quick enough for everybody. Next up, we're going to be talking about some pitchers who have made a lot of noise so far. We already talking about them. I'm a little excited here. I'm a little riled up. I'm a little bit riled up at the moment, if you can't tell. But let's move on to our next guy, and let's talk about Lance Lynn. So the thing with Lance Lynn was he came into the year a little bit banged up, more than a little bit banged up, actually, because he didn't pitch for, I believe it was at least a month or two. Matt, right? You had him. I know. Was it a month or 2 months?
It was like 2.5.
Okay, so it was like 2.5 months, and he was out with he had surgery to repair a torn tendon in his knee. Okay, torn meniscus. Okay, and he was out from the beginning of the year to looks like June. So yeah, he did miss quite a bit of time. And when he came back, it took him a little bit of time to ramp up. Lance Lynn is a little bit older, and you gotta, how old is he? 30. He was 35 last year, 36 this year, and his numbers on the year weren't really terrible. It was 8 wins, 7 losses, 3.99 ERA, 21 starts, 121 innings, 124 Ks, and he had a 1.13 WHIP. Now, Lance Lynn's been good for a long time, so he's not somebody that I'm just like glancing off for. If you weren't paying attention, you might look at those numbers and just say, oh, well, Lance Lynn's, getting towards the end of his career, he's a little bit washed up. But let's do this. Let's do it from when he really, really got on a roll last year. So that was from August 3rd to October 2nd, 12 starts for Lance Lynn during that time, 74 innings, 75 Ks, 2.43 ERA, and the WHIP was right around 1, like a 1 WHIP. So Lance Lynn is definitely somebody that you could take a shot on. I currently have Lynn ranked. Where do I have Lance Lynn? I have him at 39. And let's see where he's going as far as ADP goes. 41, so I'm a little bit higher than ADP. Pick 134 for Lynn. If you can get Lynn around your 5 or 6 starting pitcher, that's probably where I'm throwing the dart on him. But now that I'm looking, there's a lot of guys around him that I do like Tony Gonsolin, Luzardo, Freddie Peralta, Joe Ryan. So maybe you don't want to take the risk on him there. But if he falls a little bit in drafts, he's definitely somebody I wouldn't mind having on my team.
I mean, Lynn is only 1 year removed from having that great 2020, 21, 2020, 21. Wow, what year are we in? 2021. And I mean, you know what? For a guy that started off slow, coming off with his planting knee being torn and then figuring it out, he didn't end the year bad. So I can't really get mad at what he did. I have him as my 38th pitcher. I'm okay with him as like my 4. I'm really okay with it because in 2021 he had 157 innings pitched. He had 176 strikeouts. He had a 2.69 ERA, and he had 11 wins. Like you can't really ask for more than that. And with a also a 107 whip, right? You can't really X more for that. And I don't think that you know, having him as your 4 is bad. It's just that injury killed you because we were drafting him in the top 15 last year. I drafted him 15 minutes before he got hurt.
Yeah, that's
15
true.
minutes. And it was just brutal. So, I just whatever. Me and Lynn have a troubled relationship. Let's put it that way. And it's putting it lightly.
Matt, real quick before we move on, do you have his spring training stats there? I have 3 innings, 4 strikeouts, 1 run. I think that's accurate. I know you have a little bit better source than I do.
That is the exact ones.
So yeah, he's looking back to Lance Lynn so far. If he's already throwing 3 innings at his first start, he's looking very Lance Lynn-ish.
Also, too, before we move on and get the rest of these pitchers out here and cover the rest of the show, we do have somebody else to talk about, and that's FanDuel. Here at Locked On, we're super excited about our new sports betting partner, FanDuel. The midway point of the NBA season is here, and now it's the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers getting no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if first bet doesn't win. Just download FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from money lines, points scored, and threes drained. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a bigger chance at same game parlay. So don't miss your chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets back when you download FanDuel.com/locked-on. That's FanDuel.com/locked-on. Get started today. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And without further ado, let's keep this party going. And let's talk about Yusei Kikuchi. He's another one.
Ooh, well said.
I could do the Japanese and the Asian.
That's what made me laugh. I was like, you can't say Reid Detmers, but you say Kikuchi.
Bro,
all right.
The meter's just running, bro. It's just a can.
Yeah, the meter's running, guys. That's going to be that would be cool on a shirt. Like it says the meter's running. It's got like a little meter with him on the shirt. That'd be cool. I'd rock that.
Oh hell yeah, I might have to get that done. But so let's talk about Mr. Kikuchi here. He's an interesting case because, to be honest, everybody thought he was going to have a little bit better of at least last year, right? Like, without
everybody was going to have a better career.
Well, yeah, that too, right? But I mean, it's only been a little bit. He's been the big 4 years, and he's how old? Oh wow, he's old.
2 this year.
Yeah. So I forgot he came over from overseas, so there's not much we could say. But I mean, it's a weird scenario. I mean, his start year of his best year is where he had a 4.41 ERA, and last year he had a 5.19 ERA. Like, it's very troubling as to what's going on and what maybe he finally adjusted, but I don't think it's that. I just truthfully think that, he is just finally just going to show a little bit, get everybody really hyped up, and then just break everybody's heart once the season starts. But that's just me. And let me read off what he's doing just because the reason why we're highlighting him. He had 4 innings pitched already in 2 games, and he had 7 Ks, and he gave up no earned runs in 2 starts through 4 innings. That's really nice. And, it's over a K per 9, and I just don't see it lasting. I think this is fool's gold, but we have to highlight him because he's doing good. If you want to take him with your last draft and see if this is not fool's gold, and maybe you can laugh in my face, go for it. But I'm going to tell you right now, just be careful. Don't draft him high. I hope nobody falls for this. I have Kikuchi buried. He's like my 80th pitcher. So, I wouldn't even sweat him.
Yeah, Matt, I'm kind of on board with you. Some guys were pointing out because we love them. Some guys were pointing out, as Matt said, probably fool's gold here with Kikuchi. In your AL onlys or your deep 15-mans, Kikuchi's coming off the board as number 118 starting pitcher, pick 432 overall. So it's literally, as my brother Matt says, free 99, and there's the haterade for Kikuchi. Matt's bringing it back out. He's promised me and the fans that he's going to break out the haterade a little bit more this year because when Matt gets on the haterade rants, I know I tend to enjoy them.
Oh, we might have to have a whole podcast dedicated to it.
Yeah, we could do a haterade podcast. I actually like that. That's probably a solid idea.
I could just hate on the world, but let's go.
Yeah, guys, that's pretty much what Kikuchi is. I'm not falling for it. I have him buried somewhere maybe 150. I have to look. He might not even be on my starting pitcher ranks, to be honest. But let's move on. Up next, we have a few more bats that have been looking very, very good this spring training, and let's get into them. Let's get into them. So the first guy here is Ronnie. I believe it's how. Let's see if I can get how this is pronounced. He's a young prospect for the Mets, and I had it down earlier, but let me see if I can get this kid's last name correct. Bear with me 1 second as I pull up his baseball reference page, which actually gives you
Rage.
the page, which gives you the pronunciation of their names. So it's Ronny Mauricio. Ronny Mauricio. He's a shortstop prospect for the New York Mets. This kid is in his man body already. He's 6'3", 222. I threw him onto my prospects rankings after I saw what he's doing this spring training, and I'm gonna let Matt handle that one for you because Matt's got the goods as far as the spring training stats. So Matt, if you want to have that ready for when I pass it over to you, I would truly appreciate
I
it.
already got
But
it up. I was looking at him today.
yeah, that's my brother right there. We're in sync. So let's go at what Mauricio did last year in Double A with the Mets. 123 games, 71 runs, 26 doubles, 26 bombs, 89 RBIs, 20 steals, and he had 259. So maybe this kid isn't going to blow you away with the batting average, but there's a lot of pop in the bat. He's still only going to be, I believe he's 21 and he's turning 22 on April 4th. So he'll be 22 for most of this season. And just a name that you need to remember, Ronny Mauricio, big dude, shortstop prospect for the Mets. Throw him on your waiver wire in case he gets the call this year. If you're playing in dynasty leagues or, long-term keeper leagues and he's available, I would definitely pick him up and just see, pick him up for $3.99 now, or if you're doing, a dynasty startup and your draft is coming up, definitely keep Ronny Mauricio in mind. Maybe one of your last picks. He's not too much of a highly touted prospect, but he's doing well in spring training. So once again, keep your eye on this kid. I think bright future for Mauricio.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna. He's interesting. He's somebody that came up as like, oh, I was looking at spring training today. I was like, oh, he's doing some cute things, and he is.
Yes.
Right now in 7 at bats, he has 4 runs, 3 home runs, 5 ribbies, and he's batting about a 429 right now, which is absolutely ridiculous, and an OBP of 500. Like, how you doing? Like, good stuff, but it's still early. And the bottom can still fall out. We're a week
Oh
into
yeah.
actual games,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's intriguing, and it's something to talk about. And the only other thing I could see is maybe I don't see him getting called up only because I don't see a place for him to play.
Yeah,
Unless
yeah.
like
Exactly.
you got Lindor right in front of him, but he's somebody to keep an eye on. He's somebody that says like, hey, listen, you're gonna have our draft tips episode as it gets closer to draft weekend. And one of them is going to be after the draft. You go to your waiver wire and you set a wish list or a watch list, or depending on what platform you play on, and you put a star next to the guy's name, and if he gets called up, boom, there you go, and you just keep an eye on him, and let's see what happens. But right now, he's interesting. All right, but let's move on here. Sorry, I didn't even change the name for you guys. Um, let's bring up Mr. Brendan Donovan. Brendan Donovan is having a nice spring as well. I like what he's doing so far. So I'm trying to get up this and talk all at the same time. Uh, I'm not. There we go. So he plays. He's a guy playing on St. Louis. He plays second base. He had so far this spring 9 at bats. He had 3 runs, a single, 2 home runs, 6 ribbies, and he's batting 333 so far. I'm liking that. Um, I don't really know too much about the guy other than what he's doing in spring training. So, Dom, if you have a better take on him than me just dragging my feet, please go for it.
Yeah, no, we might have even talked about Brendan Donovan last year on one of our infamous waiver wire episodes because he was just getting it done last year for St. Louis. As a 25-year-old, Donovan got the call last year, played 126 games, 391 at bats, 64 runs, 21 doubles, doing a triple, 5 home runs, 45 RBIs, 2 steals, and he had 281. So now he's not going to blow you away in, the home runs or the RBIs, but hey, he can contribute in runs. He's a plus batting average, guys. Donovan stole 19 bases across 108 games, 391 at bats in the minors in 2021. So he's got a little bit of speed to him. And also the cool part about if you take Donovan, he's coming off the board as number 34 second baseman, pick 314, And let me read you off the laundry list of positions that he's eligible at: first base, second base, third base, shortstop, and outfield. The only thing he can't do is catch and pitch, and Donovan just might be able to do that, and we just don't know because he's eligible at every position under the sun right now. Definitely a guy. I don't know if I'm drafting him right now. I'm keeping my eye on him in spring training. As we said, he's pretty much got the starting second baseman job locked down for St. Louis, and St. Louis is a great team. Depending on where he hits, like I said, plus runs, plus batting average, and if you're getting him that late, I think it's a good spot for Brendan Donovan. But let's move on to our last guy here, and that's Ryan McMahon of the Colorado Rockies. Now, everyone's going to be like, Dom, Ryan McMahon was supposed to be so good, and he never really amounted to anything. And I'll be like, all right, I understand that. I was a Ryan McMahon guy for a lot of years, a long time. But, last year as a 27-year-old, McMahon kind of, played a little decent, more of what we were looking for with him. 153 games, 529 at-bats, 67 runs, 23 doubles, 20 bombs, 67 RBI, 7 steals, 246. So the thing is, he might not wind up being a huge batting average guy, probably going to be around a 250 hitter. He's got some pop in his bat. And, Donovan, still on Brendan Donovan. Ryan McMahon, in 2021, 151 games, 528 at-bats, 80 runs, 23 home runs, 86 RBIs, 6 steals, 254. So he's just a solid little player, and you can get him right now as 22nd second baseman, pick 215, one of your last picks. There's a little bit of upside there with him playing in Coors 2. Maybe this is like the huge breakout year that we're still hoping for McMahon. Just wanted to highlight him because he's having a good spring training. My brother Matt is going to read you off those stats, and just somebody to keep your eye on once again. Make sure how Ryan McMahon's looking headed into the season.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not buying this. I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. He's that ugly girl at the bar that you just wouldn't even touch if you had a few beers.
Maybe I have too much beer goggles on, Matt. Maybe I had one too many.
I think you do, because I just
it's possible.
He does this every spring too, where he just he literally is fool's gold. But I'll read it off. He had nine at bats. He had 3 runs, 3 singles, a double, 2 ribbies, and he's batting .444. That's great and dandy, but we'll see what he does in the season. I'm good. I'm good on it in his aspect. I do want to highlight one more person that is on the list.
Yeah, let's go for it.
This is a prospect watch. This is one of the top end prospects. This is Jordan Walker. If anybody hasn't been following what this dude is doing right now, you need to start. He is incredible. He is probably the number 3 prospect going into the year. And if he continues to play like this, there's a good chance he could break camp or come up within 2 weeks if they want to keep the control. So right now in 9 at-bats, he has 2 runs, a single, a double, a home run, 3 ribbies, and he's batting .333. He's somebody that I am trying to snag everywhere in early drafts, because with no knowledge of whether he's going to break camp or not. And if I even hear that he's getting in going to break camp, I'm going to be drafting him pretty solidly within the top 120 range, because I think the kid has all the potential in the world to be a star. So yeah, Jordan Walker's going to be great.
Yeah, man, I'm a huge Jordan Walker fan as well. Right now, last season, the Cardinals were transitioning him from third base to outfield because they got Nolan Arenado there. Right now, Jordan Walker's coming off the board as the 22nd third baseman, picked 243 overall. And that's a hell of a deal on a kid that is, very, very talented young man. Jordan Walker is 6'5", 220 pounds. He's already in his grown man body. Let's just read off what he did last year in the minors. Last year, Jordan Walker played 119 games, 461 at-bats, 100 runs, 31 doubles, 3 triples, 19 bombs, 68 RBIs, 22 steals, and he had 306. The year prior, 82 games, hit 317 with 14 bombs, 14 steals. So it's a very nice power speed combo here for Jordan Walker. Then when he comes up, he gets to learn from Goldie and Nolan Arenado and just the rest of that St. Louis core. who the coaches definitely know what they're doing, because everyone that comes up for St. Louis is always winds up being at least serviceable. And the sky is the limit for the kid. I don't currently have him ranked yet, but I'm going to find a way to work him into my rankings. Once again, remember, right now, Jordan Walker is only eligible at third base, but once he comes up, it's going to most likely be as an outfielder. So for this year, Walker will be third base and outfield eligible, which is another boost to the kid. Not that he needs any more boost, because he's already, so highly thought of by anybody that's in the industry or anyone that you talk to that knows who he is. But now you guys know who he is if you didn't already know. So keep your eyes out for Jordan Walker. But guys, I think that's going to wrap us up for today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. And also check out our website, which has our rankings. You can find the website in our link tree. It has a little bit about us, and also you get access to all of our episodes on there. And also, thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. Also, please be sure, if you make us your first listen, listen to Locked On Reds as your second listen. Jeff Carr is the host. Jeff Carr is a very, very, good colleague of ours, somebody who has been very helpful to us in this journey. So we definitely want to promote Locked On Reds for our buddy Jeff. A guy who knows everything about the Reds. Not only that, he knows a lot about baseball as well. Very, very knowledgeable man. So go listen to Locked On Reds. But guys, we will be back Monday with, I know, a series that everyone's been loving, our Mock Draft Mondays. And, guys, until then,
Peace.